Hello, my name is Dayanara Vargas, and today I will be discussing understanding our rights and freedoms and clearing up any misconceptions about the Constitution, things that we may not fully grasp in our day to day lives, or even things that may confuse us when we see it on social media and we're not fully able to understand what we're hearing and process the information fully. So, hopefully, this helps. So, freedom of religion. Some common misconceptions are that the US is a Christian nation by law. Maybe because there's often like Christians that we see very large Christian communities here, but the government cannot establish a religion here actually. While we are able to freely practice or not practice any religion, it's not something that they can enforce on us, especially not any type of religion. Another misconception is that students can't pray in schools at all. While students can pray, it's not the teachers can enforce it upon them. Like, or it's not something that they could specifically take out a piece of time in the day to force students to pray. But you can pray at school if that's what you choose to do. And then freedom of speech protects against government punishment for speech and includes unpopular or offensive speech. We're able to discuss different political opinions. We're able to do many different things. It's mainly, I feel, when it gets too rowdy that's when government steps in. Some misconceptions are that you can say whatever you want without consequences. There's gonna be consequences. Let's say if you're trying to kill the president or something, obviously or like you're saying that you're gonna do that on social media, there's gonna be consequences. Like, it's not something you could just get away with. And then misconception number 2 is that freedom of speech protects you from criticism. No matter what people are gonna criticize you, that's just a common misconception. Freedom of the press. Some correct concepts are that the press can criticize the government, and it protects the right to publish information. So they're able to, for example, if they get their hands on information that is specifically from government officials or federal officials, they're able to release that if it's something that's, for example, investigating or criticizing leaders, but there are limits. So another misconception, a misconception is that the government controls the media. The government does not control the media. We're able to publish, we're able to do like anything. It's just, it gets to a certain point, like anything else. And then another misconception is that journalists can publish anything with no limits. There are limits, like libel or publishing military secrets. Obviously, that's when they step in and they either choose to take it down or they choose to file suit against the publisher. It's basically freedom, but with responsibility, obviously. Search and seizure. Some misconceptions are that police can never search your car without a warrant. If they have reason to, for example, they smell alcohol or they smell drugs or they see you obviously like doing something beforehand that you're not supposed to be doing, they're able to search you. And then another misconception is if you have nothing to hide, you shouldn't care. That's not true. We all have our rights, and we're able to thankfully enforce them and say, and either list what right we have or anything like that. And then some correct concepts are that the police usually need a warrant. The police do need a warrant, and they need to clearly state what they're getting and what they're searching. And another correct concept is that people are protected from unreasonable searches. Thankfully, to our Fourth Amendment, which is under the search and seizure, we do have a right to protect ourselves from unreasonable searches, and sometimes the police do need a warrant. Due process of law basically explains fairness, like hearings before punishment, notice of charges, and the chances to defend yourself is not just for criminals. It also applies in schools, jobs, and immigration cases. So, for example, some correct concepts are that everyone gets fair treatment under the law. Both criminal and civil rights are included. Some common misconceptions are that due process only applies to criminal trials. And another common misconception is that it's just about having a lawyer. It's not necessarily always about just having a lawyer. I feel like you also need to make sure that your rights are being protected and that there's no corruptness going on. Under the Ninth Amendment, it's like a safety net. It reminds us that we have more rights than what's written down, but it's not limited. Courts still balance those rights with society's needs. Some correct concepts are that people have rights not listed in the Constitution, and it protects us from unenumerated rights like privacy. Some common misconceptions are that if a right isn't listed, it doesn't exist. Another misconception is that the Ninth Amendment gives us unlimited rights. Under the 10th Amendment, it makes sure states keep power, but they still can't break federal law. For example, states can run schools, but they can't decide foreign policy. Some correct concepts are that powers not given to the federal government belong to states or the people, and it protects federalism. Some common misconceptions are that the states can ignore federal laws, and another misconception is that it gives states unlimited power. Under the equal protection, basically the 14th Amendment, is that equal protection doesn't always mean identical treatment. For example, age limits for voting or drinking are legal. It also applies to gender, immigration status, and more, not just race. Some correct concepts are that laws must apply equally to everyone and protect against unfair government discrimination, and some misconceptions are that equal protection means everyone is treated the exact same. Another misconception is that it only applies to racial discrimination. Discrimination isn't just one person being mean. It can be built into systems like unequal hiring or housing, and just because laws change doesn't mean it disappeared. Discrimination happens with immigrants, race. It could even happen in a job. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that's in one specific group. Some correct concepts can be that discrimination means unfair treatment based on identity. It can be individual or systematic. Some common misconceptions are that discrimination only happens if it's intentional. Another misconception is that it doesn't exist anymore because laws were passed. I feel like knowing our rights is very important and helps us protect from not only unfair treatment, but unfair things that can happen in court or just in our day-to-day life. So it's very important that we as individuals know our rights and know when to enforce them and how to correctly act when in need. Thank you.